Hey, what's going on?
Hey there, how you been?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. It's a good
Thank
day.
you. Thank you so much for joining me here. You have so much to offer. Anyone in the music business, industry, anywhere, as well as any other artist really wanting to follow their passion and their dream. And also, you have a lot to offer people in business in general. During this time of COVID, where so many artists are struggling and trying to find work, your business has been growing and succeeding. So,
Well,
two
thank you for
different.
saying so. It's been hard. I think it's been hard on everybody for the past couple years, but we have been able to begin thriving again, and we're trying to help people out. So, thank you for saying so.
That's awesome. Very inspirational. So, let's see, we've got Jet Lagged here and Ingram Music Group are joining as well. So, thank you for joining. So, I just want to dive in a little bit so our viewers know a little bit about you, your background with music. Really, where did your passion for music start? Can you give us a little insight into that?
Well, I was born into a musical family. My father was a New Orleans jazz clarinetist. My mom, a professional singer. And my first professional gig was age 5. My mom took each one of her children and dressed them up. I had to put a top hat and a little tiny tuxedo on and a cane, get up on stage. And my very first gig was performing for an insurance group in Colorado Springs. So that was the beginning of the end.
Did you develop a love for music there, or was it generally just performing, or
Well,
how
that's
did
an
that develop
interesting
for you?
question because, there are a lot of scientific, there's research that's been done to suggest that there could be a music gene in people. If there is, then it probably is in me because almost all of my family have been musical, going back generations. And they say sometimes that skips generations, but pretty much all of my family, including my brother and my sister, they're all musical.
Wow.
So I think that when I started to get serious about it was probably around, even though I had a love for music and it was a passion for me, I started learning how to play piano when I was about 6. Took on clarinet. I wanted to follow after my dad. 5th grade, so my mom went and got me a clarinet, and I started taking lessons. 7th grade, took up the saxophone, and I think saxophone, it was immediately when I had the sax in my hand in 7th and 8th grade. That was when I knew I had found my love. And probably around 10th grade I kind of just coasted off of, my natural ability to learn and things like this. But there comes a certain point when you have to take on a mentor or a teacher or somebody who can take you to that next level. And I was living in South Carolina at the time, and I realized that that was the case. um, I went to my parents and said, "Hey, would you please buy me a professional saxophone so I can do this?" And they looked at me. They said, "Nah, it would be a waste of our money." And so I got really mad as a teenager, and I went to my doctor and I said, "Would you loan me $1,200 so I can buy a professional saxophone? And I swear I'll pay you back. I'm going to go get a job at Kmart Sporting Goods," which I did, and with the extra money, I would go down to the University of South Carolina and I would get saxophone lessons.
That's
Um,
awesome.
so that, yeah, that was when I really got serious. When I took to heart what going to professionals who knew more than me, how to become better. And I had been doing it all wrong, holding the saxophone wrong. It was like having to relearn all over again. But it taught me a great lesson, uh, to not necessarily listen to what other people have to say or about you, or if there's haters or non-believers or whatever. If you believe in yourself, then you're going to make it happen. And that's either that, or I was just a stupid teen and was just trying to do what my parents didn't want me to. I don't know, something like that.
Well, I think, I mean, just listening to you play, watching videos of you perform and all of that, I mean, it's obviously it's something that like you communicate through your music. At least it feels that way as far as a fan watching. Um, and I think it's something that needed to be shared with the world. So I'm glad that you followed that. And it's fabulous watching you perform. I see the way that you're able to like move the energy around in the audiences, and even listening. I've listened to your live album through the Swingtips, and it's a performance. It's just you have that natural ability, and it's actually absolutely beautiful. So
Well, I've always
um,
said that the band is probably something better seen and experienced live than it is listened to, you know, on CDs, or not CDs anymore, just, MP3s, pre-recorded stuff. It's the kind of music that existed in the 40s, 30s, 40s. I was raised by my mom in the tradition of what's called vaudeville. If you know what that is, it's kind of a long lost art, but has been handed down through the centuries, where you learned how to tell jokes and dance and sing and do all these things, and all the great, actors from the 30s and 40s were all trained in vaudeville. They were all had to be like triple threats, which, for those who don't know what that means, you had to be able to act and joke and sing, do something musical.
that's awesome. So at what point do you feel that you started to transition from the performance to moving into a more business mindset, or was that something that was just there from the get-go?
That's a good question. I moved to Arizona from South Carolina, and when I got here, I realized that no one would hire me without an agent. And so I thought, well, I guess I'll just be my own agent. So I asked my brother if he would be the name of the agent, and because he didn't know how to be an agent. And so for the longest time, everybody thought I was my brother, because I was booking it through my own self, and then, going and doing the gigs too. So that's how it started out. I was in my early 20s. Ended up, doing the Gulf War thing in the 90s, and then when I came back from that, I had learned enough about the business to be able to do that and not have to fool anybody. So over the years, I think most musicians that they don't want to do the business side. It's almost conflicting with creative, the business
Mm-hmm.
and left, right brain. Um, who knows? But you can't exist in this business as both or as just a creative without having to learn about the business, or else you get taken advantage of, or you just don't work at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that applies to other businesses as well. The business part of music is not so different than any other business. You're we're running things on profit margins, and you have what your costs are, things like this. Then you go and you do the work, and you either make a profit or you don't. There's a whole lot of reasons why you wouldn't make a profit, but going back to the whole artist business thing, I think I started taking a real when I started my group, the Swingtips, in '96. Man, I'm old. Um, and I took the band aside, and I started writing songs for because I had gone on tour with the Glenn Miller Orchestra for a couple years, 93, 94, somewhere right around in there. And then I came back to Phoenix and formed up a small swing band, and I told the band, as we were getting ready to start, I had written all this music, said, guys, you got to have a goal, and my goal is that we're going to be a performance act at Disney World. And they all laughed at me. I said, it's going to happen. I said, for those of you who feel like you're not ready for it and to start touring, then I'm asking you to bow out now. And I had two people bow out. They said they weren't ready to do it. They weren't ready to tour. They just didn't feel like it was the time in their life when they wanted to do something like that. So I ended up with a couple of people that we brought in to replace them, and I mean the rest is history. We became an act at Disney World, and we were there for a span of almost 4 years, something like that. The only thing that knocked us out was 9/11. But the goals, you're kind of seeing a common thread here, is that you have to set a goal and then you have to do something each day to achieve those goals. And that's what we were doing. We were trying to get to a certain level, and it just happened to be at a good time too, because some of you might remember the whole swing resurgence that happened in the mid 90s. So it was the right timing. You know, they say timing is everything, and it was for us. It was quite good. Different aspects of the business. So when you ask that question about the business, well, first of all, you have to learn how to book. So I brought that part up. And then when I came back, I had to learn how to form a business on a legal level, you know, trademarking, copywriting songs. I formed a publishing company, and then I was also doing the writing. So I pretty much was owning I was producing the records. I learned so much by mistake about copyright law and how to protect yourself and how artists should do that. Over the years, that's been eroded, you know, with internet kind of stuff that came around in the mid 90s. We didn't have Instagram. We didn't have all of these other social media outlets, which people use as a platform now. But during that time period, after I started writing these songs and started recording them, I began getting phone calls from Hollywood, from New York, from all these different places saying, "Hey, can we license your song for this television show, or for this commercial, or for this CD compilation," you know, which used to be a thing. And so I never thought I would be doing music for a living. It was just kind of something I wanted to do for fun. That wasn't certainly what I was going to school for. I was going in for medicine.
Well, how did that look? You said, you know, you discover um, new aspects of the business, and you'd study it, and you talk about mentors. Did you just like dive in and read up on stuff, or did you reach out to people? And what did that look like for you as far as learning the different aspects as you went along?
Well, I had good mentors. Were people along the way in college. I got out of music, so I started in music. I had scholarships and things like this. That's what started to put me through college. And then I had some bad experiences, you know, with some of my instructors, some of my professors, and I thought to myself, well, if I have to be around assholes the rest of my life, you know, I don't know if I want to do that. Sorry, can I say that on this show?
Yep.
Okay. So anyhow, I decided to get out of music, but music came back and slapped me around and said, "You're coming back." And I ran into a guy named Grant Wolf, one of the greatest individuals I can ever, you know, claim to have known in this life. He's not around anymore. Rest in peace, Grant. But he took me aside and he said, "Kregg, you need to do music." And he says, "I've been around a long time doing this stuff, and I met different people, and I'm just telling you, you were made for this." And so I believed him. Well, maybe I didn't believe him, because when I got to going backwards to the Glenn Miller Orchestra story, Grant Wolf, he tried to trick me into going and auditioning for the Glenn Miller Orchestra. He said, "Hey man, the Glenn Miller Orchestra is coming through Tucson. I'd like to send you down there. One of the guys is sick, and they just want you to come down there and play. And it pays X dollars. It wasn't all that much, but I was excited. Hey, the Glenn Miller Orchestra, that's one of my hero bands. You know, I grew up with that music, listening to it on my grandparents, my dad. And so I said, sure. I went down there. I had an unfortunate experience where one of my little tiny screws that holds my stack of keys on the lower stat together worked its way out as I was going on stage. And I'm telling you, I was sweating bullets. All my keys fell off. Oh. And the band watched it happen, and they just shook their heads in shame. And one of the guys just pull his music for him, you know, meaning pull the charts that I will need. And I was down there. Luckily, I found the screw, put it back in place. I had just happened to bring my screwdriver set, you know, little tiny screws for that size. And I popped the spring back into place, got on stage, boom, there went the curtains, and I was sweating bullets all night long. There was all this stuff written into the music, you know, get up and, you know, left, right, up, down, do this, all this choreography, which I was struggling to just read the music, right? Because it was my first time ever being with this band. So I was really focusing on that. And then as, you know, these guys would get up and start doing all this choreography in the saxophone section, I was just like a rag doll. I was just following them like I was dancing, you know, just watching out of the corner of my eye. And I would do what they did. At the end of the night, the manager comes over. He goes, "You got the job, man. And we've never seen anybody that bounced back from something, you know, that catastrophic. And you read the book down." And probably I read the book down just because I had so much adrenaline going through my system, you know. And I said, what job? He goes, "Didn't Grant Wolf tell you? That's you came down for an audition. You're supposed to meet us in LA next week." Well, I thought to myself, well, I just got out of the military, got no girlfriend, got no job. Why not? So right there and then I said, I will do it. And so I flew into a burning LA. It was during the Rodney King riots. I'll never forget it. The whole place was on fire. And that's how it began. My career began on fire.
That's amazing. What were the feelings that you were having like in that moment as far as you know, getting that job and just I guess the surprise, the shock, and after I guess the transition from that adrenaline, that fear, everything that was going through you at the time to when it finally sank in? And did it even sink in right then and there?
Oh no, no, I felt unworthy. We're talking about the Glenn Miller Orchestra. The very first gold record ever issued was to Glenn Miller for Chattanooga Choo Choo, you know. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm not worthy to be in this, you know. This was like the U2 of my, well, that's now I'm seriously dating myself. This was like the Justin Bieber of their time, I guess.
I don't know
Um,
if you're
so even when I got out on the road, I really felt like I wasn't worthy. And I'll never forget the baritone saxophonist who was the leader of the section. He took me aside and he goes, "I want to talk to you real quick." He goes, "I see you out here every night on the bus, practicing the music while everybody's getting sleep in the hotels. You need to stop that. There's only 5 guys on this earth right now playing with this band, and we chose you. So stop it. You know, own it. You're worthy to be here. Get it straight and start going and get some sleep." So that's after that point, I was like, well, I just kind of got bitch slapped around, and as I understand what that means. So I did exactly what he told me to, and things got a lot more relaxed, and I felt a little better about it. But seriously, those were some of the best musicians I've ever played with in my life. I mean, all these North Texas guys, just every player on that bandstand was just phenomenal. And Glenn Miller isn't even the hardest of all the big band music. It's just, you know, the first pop group, really. So, but having said that, I didn't feel worthy.
well, I believe that you're definitely worthy. I mean, just watching you play, hearing you play, and just what really I think also sinks in is the fans that you have and the people that you have commenting on your music, and just I think lifelong fans that love your music and love you. So I think you're doing all things right. That's a long-lasting career and a beautiful career to have. So
Thank you. That means a lot to me. Appreciate it.
um, as you transition into more of the business end of it, how are you going into more of like, do you find yourself more in the mentor role now, doing like what other people did for you? Because I know I look up to you from afar and, you know, bug you every once in a while with questions with business and different stuff like that. But how do you view yourself as far as, do you still feel like you need a mentor, or do you feel like you're transitioning in that aspect at all?
Well, I would never be so, I guess, naive or boastful to say that I can't learn from anybody. I mean, we are on this journey evolving continually until you know, they boxed me in and put me in a pit. But I would have to say that, yes, I am in that mentor role. I have been for quite some time. I began teaching about copyright law at several colleges here, Phoenix College, Chandler Gilbert Community College, some other places here. I started doing panels, songwriter panels, where I would discuss how to get your music into film and television, how to copyright, how to create a label. I mean, there's a lot of people who wouldn't want to tell you this information, but listen, this is not some black art that I'm trying to like hold close to my vest. I'm more than happy to share my information with other people. And so I have students from Phoenix College who still keep in touch with me, who have formed up their own record labels. I have rappers, I have country artists, all kinds of people that that have all, I guess, considered me their mentor to a point. Like I said, I don't. It's a really tall order to call myself a mentor. If they call me that, then that's their perspective. But I would never seek to see myself as that self-important.
Well, I think you do a really good job at sharing information, sharing the stuff that you've learned, and you do it from the heart and in a way that really benefits other people. And I mean, that's what a mentor does, you know, and to see the talent in other people and to encourage them is, you know, very important. And it seems like you do that a lot. So,
Well, here's the thing. We all need help from time to time. I wish someone had helped me sooner. I wish somebody had, you know, slapped me around and said, hey, stop what you're doing. This is where it goes. But my career has been all over the map, even within music. You know, the business side, I've done just about everything. I mean, I've even Ludacris. I got signed to a record deal in 2008 for being a DJ producer. I never saw that coming either. You know, I mean, there's just weird things have happened over time that kind of have shown me that my career is a little bit like riding a wild horse without a saddle, without a bridle. You're just holding on to that mane, and that horse is going to run fast wherever it wants to go. And so I think that's probably the best metaphor, analogy, whatever you want to call it, for how my career has progressed and evolved.
well,
So go ahead.
Dion says I can definitely benefit from your knowledge and wisdom. He's with
Well, I would be
IMG.
more than happy to share it. It's no secret. I want to see everybody succeed.
Awesome. So what has been maybe like one of the things that one of the crazy events that have occurred in your career that you really look back on and it kind of came out of nowhere, really surprised you, and just a really great memory that you enjoy? Is there anything that's just like just surprised the heck out of you?
Oh, there's lots. Um, Here's a humorous one. So one of my favorite places to perform was up in Portland. It was above this brewery. It was called the Crystal Ballroom. The Crystal Ballroom. And I don't know if you ever watched those old cartoons from the 40s, you know, where the band would be playing and it would show the windows and they were like doing this, right? The windows were just, and people would be dancing on the floor. I never truly understood that concept until I was up on stage in this massive place it was built at the turn of the last century, like after the 1900s. So it had spring wood floors, right? And as I looked out all over this floor, and there were about 6,000 people, like swing dancers, just dancing in front of 6,000 people is a lot of dancers. That tells you how big this joint was. And the wood looked like waves of the sea. It was doing this. And then I looked over at the window as we're performing, and it was doing that, you know. And I was afraid it was going to break on my drummer's head. But it was kind of hilarious to me at the same time, because in that moment, I was recalling these Bugs Bunny movies, these Looney Tunes movies, where you used to see that. On a more, you know, epic scale, we were asked to do a show at home plate at the original Shea Stadium for a Mets game, They were playing against the Boston Red Sox. I'll never forget this. All the Red Sox team came out and signed my ball for me, even though it was at the Mets stadium. So the Mets didn't want to be outdone. They came out and signed the ball. And so then I sat, we did a little mini show, about 4 or 5, 6 songs there. Once again, another time when we felt quite out of our league, you know, because the only people that I knew of that had ever been allowed to play at home plate there at Shea Stadium was the Beatles and the Stones. So and then they had me sing the national anthem, and there were so many people, and it was a televised game. And as soon as I finished the national anthem, the show and the national anthem, it was just deafening. It was deafening. That coupled probably with the 2001 World Series, we played for 4 of those games, and then we were there for the very last game that was played in Arizona. And I mean, it was mayhem. Cops were hugging me, you know, their nightsticks smacking my ribs, and it was just really, it was the strangest experience. But yeah, there's 3 of them for you. I can go on and on, but it would be too long.
That's awesome. Those are some pretty intense memories. That's awesome.
Intense is a good word.
Fun stuff. So jumping into Ripchord Entertainment, what is it that you have to offer there? What can people get from you? Where can they sign up? What is Ripchord Entertainment about?
Ripchord Entertainment is a full service agency. When I say full service, we book bands. We also provide AV services, rentals. We do decor. We work with national acts as well. We're working with Sarah Evans later this year. We've had many acts from Las Vegas, from LA, from locally, all parts of Arizona. That we are the primary talent buyers for Weekapaw Casino Resort, which is the best, you know, the most beautiful of all the casinos here in this state. It's very new. It's been around for about maybe five months around. It's been open for that long. But they hired us on as their primary talent buyers. And so if there's anybody who, you know, has a band or has a tribute act that they would like to get bookings there, I mean, yeah, get in touch with me at the website at ripcordentertainment.com. And then if you have, I also am still have my hands in the film and TV business. If you have music that's originals, that you own your own masters, you can send those over to me as well. And private message Melanie, and she would give you that information. But I'm happy to listen to anybody's music. There are some things that we would need to discuss, if it, you know, legalities, copyright stuff, to know whether or not we could proceed. But that is another area in which I can help people out. Right now, during the whole COVID thing, there are many bands and entertainers and dancers, jugglers, every kind of entertainer you could think of that we've hired. We started getting people work all the way back in October of last year, and it's been consistent, you know, 40 to 50 a week. And I only hope to see that increase.
That's awesome.
It's time. It's time to open things up again. We can't shut ourselves in forever.
Yeah.
That's not to say let's be irresponsible about it. The casino has been extremely responsible about it, and so have other venues. Although I have seen other venues, and, you know, Arizona has been kind of in the hot seat for stuff like that for a while. But I can tell you, Ripchord Entertainment, we take our jobs extremely serious. We don't want to put anybody at risk, whether that means the musicians or the patrons, anybody. We're trying to be smart about it.
Absolutely. No, a big part of what I like to show people is mindset and pushing through obstacles. Now, what was that like? And any obstacle really, but I mean, I think COVID was just such a huge thing and unexpected and affected so many people at one time. What kind of things did you do for your business, or how did you shift and adjust as far as from a mindset perspective at the beginning when lockdown started?
Well, that's also an interesting question. A lot of people were trying to paint a picture that was rose colored, like we're gonna open up in 6 months. I knew that was gonna happen. It was not gonna happen. Even now, I don't think that this pandemic, if you want to keep looking at it as one, it is. It's gonna. All these variants are probably going to continue to evolve or mutate, whatever you want to call it. And so we're just what I was telling my partner at the time, Mike King, who I think you have him later this week. I said, Mike, we're gonna have to adjust for this, and that means from a business sense, pricing, you're gonna have to adjust that. We're gonna have to find the venues that will allow music back, because there are a lot of things that venues that they've just shut down. They've lost business. They decided that they couldn't continue with the outlook the way it is, or it was, or it's just, once again, no one really knows, right? So we began seeking out clients and areas where we knew that we're not going to be affected near as much. Now, I got to say that the casino was a very big part of helping us jumpstart things, so I have nothing but good things to say about that tribe, the Yavapai, wonderful people. The casino has been very influential in helping us help these other entertainers. And in terms of our outlook, we have a plan. We sit down, we talk together. We don't always agree, right? I mean, when you're in a partnership, that doesn't always happen. But what we do agree on are our goals and the reason why we're doing it. This is not just a profit-driven company. We have things that we like to do for others. If we're asked to perform for an autistic organization or whatever, I mean, these are things that are dear to my heart. I happen to have an autistic child, so that's one of those things. We just want, and it goes against, I guess, probably a strictly business model, but I think businesses should be giving back to the community rather than just taking. I certainly don't want to shop somewhere where they're just, all they're about is themselves and not the customer or about the community. There are many bands who I can name many entertainers here locally, and also entertainers where I originally grew up in South Carolina, who have given much back to the community in order to try to help things. Because what is one of the things that unifies people? Music, entertainment. I mean, what is the thing that people have turned to during the pandemic? Netflix, all these different, Hulu, Prime. This has become more apparent to me than ever. We can't allow entertainment to suffer, and it's an ecosystem. It's not just musicians. It's not just booking agents. It's an ecosystem. I call it the entertainment ecosystem. It's every bit of it. It's the bus drivers, that used to be on tours. It's the caterers. It's the sound techs, the lighting techs, the people sweeping up the place after everybody's dirtied it up. It's so many people who have suffered with the entertainment ecosystem as a result of everything being shut down. And it's been pretty bad over in Europe too. I follow everything that happens over there. I think the governments in Europe have actually seen entertainment for the important element to society that it is, more so than America. I can't say that we haven't had offerings of grants and all these other financial incentives to help people, but I think that they're doing a better job in Europe than they are here.
I think one of the things that really stood out to me is when everything was beginning to shut down and there was no knowns, you were still taking action and moving forward and showing how you give to the community. And to me, like, I could see the forward looking, like, music has to keep going. We have to keep providing it to people. We have to keep it out there no matter what it looked like. And there were different events that you did in a very safe way where you would be outside of apartment complexes with all the musicians spread out and still playing. And that was just like, wow, it was just so amazing, because I live on music. I don't know how to play it. I don't know anything like that, but I absolutely like it. Just it fuels me in every way, shape, or form. So seeing that and seeing just everyone come together and still give any way that you could was just absolutely beautiful. So I appreciate that so much. And I think that helps to move forward in maintaining that view of getting it out there and finding a way to make it work and to help contribute to that ecosystem that you say. And I love how you put that, because it really does help to see the big picture and understand how everyone's affected by it. So it's
And keyword is
absolutely.
everyone, because an ecosystem is everything,
Mm-hmm.
right? If we're talking about some sort of a swamplands kind of situation, that's an ecosystem made up all of the things that live in it, and the things that provide the plants that is there, the water itself. It's just complex, and if you screw with it, well, then it affects everything else. It's that butterfly effect, right? So once you take one element out of an entertainment ecosystem, it affects everything else. And I mean, it's just the perfect storm that everything was affected by this pandemic. And I have such good friends that are some of the most talented humans on the earth who have chosen to get out because it's just it seemed too drastic for them, and it just seems too difficult, insurmountable in a way, to try to have a career in this, knowing that things are permanently changed. Let's go for it. I said it. Things have permanently changed. So for those of you who are part of the entertainment business right now, I'm speaking directly to you. You need to find a way in order to keep your business, to grow your business in ways that are evolving with this pandemic. It's not gonna, I don't think that we're gonna be shut in caves for the rest of our lives here. That's not gonna happen. But you're gonna have to learn how to live with it. And you're gonna have to find ways, unique ways, in order to exist, subsist within that ecosystem and the way it's changing.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important. I think also to let people know to, yeah, just keep seeking it, because we all need that. We need the gifts, the music, just everything that has to be offered. We
Well, it's what
absolutely
makes
need
us
it.
human. It's what makes
Yeah.
the earth, worth being a part of. There's science is great. It's all great. But without music, yeah, I don't think I'd want to stay here too much longer.
No, I think I'd shrivel up. Well, thank you so much. And that broad view that you have, that world view that you give to the music industry, and that where you're able to see it from, I think that really shines through in what you give to an audience. It's not, you're just not just looking at what can you do for you. You're looking at the end user. You're looking at the clients that you're servicing. You're looking at how the people are consuming and enjoying and really getting from your performances and the bands that you have out there. So I think that really goes to show um, how you're able to grow in your business and with Ripchord, and because of your view and what you want to do for everyone out there.
Well, let me speak to
So
that real quick, and I'll just say one last thing to everybody out there. Don't despair, please. There are ways. There are plenty of ways in which you can move through this entertainment snafu, if you want to call it. We can work together, and if you aren't working together in a community, how can I mean it's you can't be a hater, you can't be a taker, especially during a time when we have it's all been taken from us just about. So I mean, don't despair. This is going to work out for you. If you have a business, if you have something that you're doing, set some goals. Work on it each day. Don't try to do it all at once. You can't, it's impossible. But if you work on a daily basis and you believe in yourself and you believe in your business and you believe in also in helping people, listen, it's only going to come back to you. It will. That's how life works. I can't even say that the majority of the things I've accomplished in my life were even something I can take credit for. Life has just like sent it to me. I didn't choose music. Music chose me. And for each one of you, there's something out there that has chosen you. You know, just continue to work at that, seek after that, and perfect it. And also be a giving person, give back to the community, and you can't. There's no way that you can't succeed. You will.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you. And so I'll put all the links in there of how everyone can watch your wonderful music, consume it, and reach out to you. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you
Wonderful
for
talking
what
to
you
you.
do for people too. This show is amazing. So thank you for doing
Thank
that.
you so much.
More people need to know about it. So for all you people out there, make sure that they know about Melanie and her show. This is great.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Take care.